welcome to a brand new episode of the podcast entitled Couch Potatoes Unite! This is a podcast based on a blog of the same name because it is flashy after all. That's a reference to our last Flash podcast. My name is Kylie and I love TV. If you feel the same, keep listening and or checking out the blog at couchpotatoesunite.wordpress.com as you're bound to find some common ground or something you like. For Couch Potatoes Unite, we're all about the wonders and the unique long-form storytelling of the small screen. CPU hopes you've been following releases of brand new episodes of the podcast on Wednesdays, as well as new blog entries on some Tuesdays, and as always, we have several more new episodes on the way. Because the panelists and I live lives behind our podcast, the episodes are published once per week. Subscribe to the blog or the podcast via iTunes, Stitcher Radio, and via Google Play to stay on top of brand new episodes. Episodes already published discuss a variety of shows around the water cooler, including but not limited to How to Get Away with Murder, Gotham, Once Upon a Time, Supernatural, Unbreakable Kimmy Schmidt, and Marvel Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. Plus, new episodes are in the works, including revisits for The 100, Doctor Who, The Originals, Game of Thrones, Stranger Things, and the Marvel's Defenders panel will return to discuss the Defenders crossover miniseries. A final visit, I promise, I swear I do, with our Vampire Diaries panel to say goodbye to the long-running series in a two-part episode. A final two-part episode discussing Broadchurch to say goodbye to the mystery drama from across the pond. We'll be launching new panels covering Lemony Snicket's Unfortunate Events, Grace and Frankie, and The Good Place. Because we look back at shows now past, we'll be looking back at one of our most popularly requested panels, Friends. What's more, CPU also goes live. We've been live from the bunker, comedy outlet Mondays at Dog Story Theater, and Grand Rapids Comic-Con, and we're planning more live appearances and other cool stuff. So make sure you like us at our Facebook page, our Twitter, follow us at CPU Podcast, our Instagram at Couch Potatoes Unite, and or our Pinterest at CPU Podcast, or subscribe to the blog, our YouTube channel, our iTunes channel, our Stitcher Radio channel, or find us on Google Play. In the meantime, if you don't hear a show in this podcast format, fellow panelists and I still write reviews and we're always seeking new panelists. So if you have any interest in joining the discussion, say hello by finding us at any of those outlets I've mentioned. At the very least, stop by and leave us a thumbs up, comment, or review. We like feedback, but if you are an ornery time remnant, sorry, this isn't your universe and you're just going to have to deal. Today, we're around the water cooler and continuing another of CPU's podcast series. This series does not have a fixed number of episodes like other series we do. Rather, it is ongoing and covers a growing number of shows, at least until this year, that seem to increasingly fall under one large umbrella. With that said, today's episode is part 9 of our DCTU expert panel discussing the DC television universe, or television programs adapted from DC comic book properties that have morphed and expanded into one universe across shows and, at least to start, across networks. In this 9th episode of our DCTU podcast series, we were returning to digest the 3rd season of the Arrowverse's first spin-off, The Flash. The Flash is an American television series developed by Greg Berlanti, Andrew Kreisberg, and Jeff Johns, airing on the CW. It is based on the DC Comics character Barry Allen, aka The Flash, a costumed superhero crime fighter with the power to move at superhuman speeds. The series follows Allen, portrayed by Grant Gustin, a crime scene investigator who gains superhuman speed, which he uses to fight criminals, including others who've also gained superhuman abilities. In Season 3, by changing his past, Barry alters the timeline, resulting in Flashpoint. Though he is somewhat able to restore the timeline, this creates new threats, including Savitar. After Harry and Jesse return to Earth-2, another Wells doppelganger is recruited, the novelist H.R. Wells, played by Tom Cavanaugh. Both Wally West, played by Keenan Lonsdale, and Caitlin Snow, played by Danielle Panabaker, begin to manifest metahuman abilities. Wally suits up as the speedster Kid Flash, while Caitlin is forced to suppress her ice powers to prevent becoming Killer Frost. When Barry accidentally travels to the future and sees Iris West, played by Candace Patton, killed by Savitar, he is desperate to change the future to prevent that from happening. Today, in the 9th episode of our DCTU series, our DCTU panel, namely Kyle, Hilary, Spencer, Kristen, and Nick, return to focus specifically upon Season 3 of The Flash. Before we get into the discussion, as always, I'm going to take a moment to take the panel's temperature because, as we all know, sometimes a TV show can take turns for the better or the worse in our heads, or can continue its level of awesomeness or lack thereof depending upon its story evolution. As always, it should be noted that every single one of our panelists has viewed the entire show through the end of the 3rd season and will definitely discuss sensitive plot points, so for those of you who are not caught up on The Flash, listen at your own risk, as there may be major spoilers. Welcome back, panel. How are you today?
Awesome.
Wonderful.
I I do worry about when you say you're going to take my temperature, though.
That's true.
Why?
Well, there's only 2 ways to do it.
that.
I'm usually eating.
Oh, I wasn't going medical, Spencer.
Thank God.
Thanks. No.
Yes, I went there. Hilary looks petrified.
No, I'm just loving her reactions.
Why? I'm being sarcastic.
You just don't know what to do sometimes.
Sometimes I don't. So then I just say things.
That's why it's awesome.
Anyway, so we should mention, even though this is the third in our latest round of the DCTU, the last time we did The Flash, we had a different panel a little bit. It was Hilary, Kyle, Spencer, and Jen.
Oh, yeah.
Jen went away. I know. Bye, Jen. And then Kristen joined us for Legends of Tomorrow and Supergirl.
Oh, that's right. I haven't done a Flash
You
one.
have not.
Oh, my gosh.
Wait,
People who
I thought I did.
No, you didn't. And Nick
you
joined
put
us
my
for our
cover the
mid-season
furniture
roundup of all 4 shows.
Oh, my gosh.
Oh,
I feel like
guys.
it's the family back together.
Yeah.
You know,
So
we're just together very recently.
that's true. Meta. Ha 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 ha.
Inside
So
joke.
before we take
meta.
yes, I know,
Wink,
right?
wink.
Right? Meta.
Nice.
The meta reference was even meta. Boom.
This is already getting
Spencer
punchy.
dropped
Well,
the
have
mic.
you met us? Anyway,
Dad jokes
Met
all
us.
around.
this could go on forever. Before we take the temperature, I have
Why am I here?
Before we take the temperature, we need to ask Kristen and Nick to tell us how you came to watch The Flash, what made you start watching, what kept you watching, that whole business.
Why am I preconception?
Because you were
Your
still
notes are weird.
you were
The
saying
ramblings of a serial killer.
you were
Kristen was prenatal to the group, preferring to sneer at DC from afar.
That's
not
true
trying to
for
die.
me for Atlantis.
And Nick is just a little sperm swimming along.
That's right.
Don't worry, little sperm. We'll help you
Because you were
conceive.
closer. Things had happened by then.
God,
Okay.
Anyway,
God.
just tell us how you came to watch The Flash.
I don't
crying
want
out loud.
I came to watch The Flash because, damn it, I wanted to be on another panel. that's
She is addicted.
That's the reason why.
It wasn't us all telling you it was by far the best show.
Well,
You gave in to peer pressure,
ish.
be honest.
Because we talked about it a lot on the Marvel panels that I'm
Yep.
on.
and you
so
love
finally,
Daredevil so much, you just had to
Shut up.
Shut
up, you.
The tone of the voice gives away the look on her face right now.
She had to get.
This is for the
I thought I was about to get
Marvel
struck.
It's all the same thing.
No!
It's the same podcast. It's the same panel.
Same panel.
But it's not the same thing.
Yeah,
Yeah, so you guys
don't-
were talking my ear off on the Marvel
Same.
panel.
That's like
about
saying a
how-
custard-filled donut's the same as a cream-filled donut, and I will not have it.
No, I agree with that.
No.
It's custard or nothing.
Ew! Cream filled.
I don't know.
Why am I not surprised?
That's not cream, it's synthetic
Kristen.
garbage.
Yeah, I'm sorry, Kristen. I'm a custard person too.
More for me. Okay. No, you guys
There's
are
so
talking.
many.
Kylie.
So
Get back on topic.
yeah,
I'm trying to make a point.
stop talking about donuts.
Talk about donuts, damn it!
You guys kept talking about the DC shows on our Marvel panels, and I got tired of being left out. So when Jen decided to exit the panel, that's when I said, "Hey, Kylie, I've never watched a single episode, and I know that we're like seasons and seasons in. So how about I jump on that train?" That was a difficult train to jump on. Let me tell you, I had all the seasons to catch up on.
I was gonna say, I thought you were saying it bad.
No,
I was like, what? No, it's a
it
happy
wasn't
train.
talking about difficult.
It's a big commitment.
It was a
20-some
big,
episodes,
it was a
3
big commitment,
seasons.
and what I did, I watched them in aired order. So I watched all
You know
of
what?
Arrow season 1. Then I had to flip between Arrow and Flash, and then I had to add in Supergirl.
You know what? You get extra points because that's true commitment.
I watched it in aired order, so I would know what.
Because
the
you
hell
didn't want to
was
make the
going
same mistake you made with the Marvel.
That's all
honest.
Kristen has to say about that.
You did not want to make that same mistake twice.
on. Well, with all the crossover episodes, it's important to watch these in order.
It is
Very much
true.
true.
And Kristen was welcomed with open arms
Yes.
to the DC fold. Welcome, Kristen.
Thank you, Kylie.
I mean, you've done the other ones. Now you, mister. Do you want to talk?
Sure.
Okay.
It was the same thing. These people couldn't shut up about Marv. Damn it.
I mean,
Oh,
that's true.
What's the
you've got
difference?
us. Oh.
I can
Dude,
help you with that, Nick.
he's
One is
seen-
aimed at more adult viewer.
Okay.
And
No,
the other is more the kids universe.
no. Don't listen to Spencer either. Don't listen to any of the boys except for Kyle.
Who
Right
would-
now.
Who would actually agree?
No, he's not going to agree with that.
Kyle
One is
says-
more adolescent in its writing and was aimed at a more adolescent audience. And was a
You
direct
haven't
rip-off of
read
the
as
other
much
universe.
about. No, there's so many Marvel characters that are way different from DC, my friend. But that's a different podcast.
Nick, you want to talk?
I don't know
He
anymore.
started it actually, so it's his fault.
I just misspoke.
No, you didn't. You
You
looked
can't
right at
misspoke
me.
around here.
He looked right at me with intent. He was like,
Now I know why Jen left.
She couldn't handle it.
Yeah, I was gonna say.
Wow.
Nick, do you have something to say?
He's gonna quietly
Yes.
lean into the mic and say, "I agree."
Probably.
I'm going to splice that into me asking you a question earlier.
You guys you're talking about DC made me want to watch the shows. When you were looking to add someone to the panels, I was like, ugh, I have too much to watch. There's no way I'll watch it in time.
It's true.
But you did.
So
say
I
that.
eventually did and glommed on. Forced my way through. It did take me a little while.
I think it is part of your arch rivalry with Kristen, too.
Is it really an arch rivalry, though?
I was gonna say, I thought the arch rivalry
It's
was
kind
like.
of
There's more than one. There's more than one.
Maybe
Anyway,
they just wanted to be a part of another thing. That's what she said.
It's true.
Well, I
Maybe
mean,
you
you
love
didn't
each
deliver
other
that line,
secretly.
I also-
That's what she said.
I will say during the Marvel podcast, there would be comparisons to the DC show that everyone else
Yeah.
were
true.
talking about.
so Nick and I were feeling a little left out. So we jumped on the
You wanted to
bandwagon.
see
Because
what
the
it was
DC
all
people are
about.
big bullies.
Just Spencer. Well, welcome to the Flash
Yeah,
part
I guess
of the
I was
panel.
done. I don't know.
Well, you covered
That
that
was a good
question.
answer.
Yeah,
Good
yeah.
answer, Nick.
Now we get to take everyone's temperature, not in the medical way, Spencer.
Are you gonna kiss us on the forehead?
Maybe.
As long as I don't hear a rubber glove snap.
So how would you rate your interest in The Flash? This is for the whole panel. After season 3. Do you watch it because you're a big Flash fan and or because you run really fast and are always motivated to do the right thing, like the born hero you are, like Barry Allen, aka The Flash? Do you watch it because you're a Flash fangirl and you don't care who knows it? In fact, you are motivated to tell the truth about him so much, you decide to become a journalist to uncover who he is and to report on his heroic exploits. Also, after you find out, you realize that you really love the guy wearing the Flash costume, like Iris West. Do you watch it because you're a lover of all things pop culture, particularly films, video games, and comic books, and are geeked out by all of the meta references, to current pop culture, as well as to the discovery of new metahumans? So much so, you're in the game of and current champion of naming them. Also, you like to build cool gadgets and support the Flash as the scientifically advanced genius and best friend you are, and or you like to do your best in predicting future events and occurrences that may involve your favorite superhero, the Flash, like Cisco Ramon, aka Vibe. Do you watch it because you believe in the Flash and his team as a means by which you measure your own worth? And for fodder for your interdimensional series of novellas, since you think the show has a lot of heart and personality, like H.R. Wells? Do you watch it because you like the family aspect about the show? The Flash is like an adopted son to you, and you're supportive of the story he's creating, like Joe West. Do you watch it but you think the focus on Barry or the Flash is overblown? And or you much prefer the backstory of Wally West, aka Kid Flash, like Wally West, aka Kid Flash? Have you lost some interest in the show because you're struggling with evil impulses and urges and are suddenly preoccupied with possibly bringing down the show and the characters you once loved like family? And or with finding your own, hopefully less murderous way? In fact, you're not sure if you even want to continue watching, like Caitlin Snow, aka Killer Frost. Or have you continued to watch it, but you thought the season 3 villain was kind of lame, and that season 3 suffered for it, like Savitar? Or do you watch it but you don't like it? In fact, you're ready to take down the Flash and all he stands for, like the myriad of Flash villains that appear, including but not limited to Gorilla Grodd, Magenta, Dr. Alchemy, Abracadabra, Music Meister, and the list goes on. Who would like to start?
I'll go just because my answer is exactly the same as it was before.
Kid Flash?
So much no.
Savitar.
Even more no.
Gorilla Grodd.
I really like Gorilla Grodd.
I do too.
But no.
Dang it.
Pretty much still Barry, Iris, and Cisco. A blend of all of it. What? Don't F me. Seriously. Oh, wait. No, that's bad. Okay.
Well, you say you want. Never mind.
Don't go there. There's marriages. Okay.
It's ruined.
Throw in the towel.
Who knew a podcast would ruin it?
I am a really big Flash fan, and I do tend to reach fangirl levels.
With the show.
Yes. And but I also, I'm pretty Cisco-y. I love everything pop culture-y. I still love, to this day, everything that he brings to the show, because it's kind of what all of us here in the room are like, too. So, yes, all of those things. Technically, I could go a couple more characters, but we'll just limit it there.
Yeah, you're good.
Because I'm just saying, there's parts in everything.
Who are you?
She doesn't know.
We'll just say I'm Barry. Oh, I'm Hilary. That's right.
Yes, and who are you related to?
I am related to Kyle.
Yeah.
How?
Yeah.
He is
Brother?
my husband.
Right.
Weird. And the moderator is my sister.
So there might be fighting.
Really, people, I feel like you should know this now.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But
We have to
you
remind
two
them.
don't fight. It's Nick and Spencer and I that tend
That's
to
what
fight.
I'm saying. And
we
we
don't
don't
fight,
really either.
Kristen.
Shut up, Nick! We're the ones who aren't related to anybody.
That's
on
what I was
this
like,
podcast.
I don't get that either.
That was massive ironies.
Yeah.
Welcome back, Hilary, my sister.
Woo, woo.
Hello.
All right, I'll go next
Okay.
because I'm impatient.
You are.
You are.
I'll be there in a
You
flash.
are?
You have to wait for the same number.
I will say
What
that
is your name?
my name is Spencer.
He just lectured.
I'm the only English person on all of these panels. If you don't know my voice by now, then I don't know what to say.
Fact check.
I guess then welcome to the panels. There you go. I would say I'm Flash and Cisco, mostly Cisco. I relate to the character so much because it's the kind of thing I like to do is throw pop culture references out, make up silly names for things or cool names for things. It just is totally relatable, and I really, of all of the DC universe,
really does do
Marvel
that.
universe, I love Flash beyond all of them. I'm glad that Arrow came along to get me involved in the universe. The Flash will keep me here as long as it's on the TV.
Agreed.
I wasn't.
And I'm not related to anybody, and yes, I do cause a lot of fights and friction.
Yeah, he's such an
I
instigator.
enjoy it.
Welcome back, Spencer. I guess.
My name's Kyle.
Hi, Kyle.
Hello.
Hi.
Based on
Hey.
those descriptions, I think I match up most with Cisco.
Hey, hubby.
Hello.
I
mean, obviously-
today.
This week.
Ah.
I love everything pop culture-y, and I love like all the references the show throws at to the comic books, the films, everything. I always look forward to that. And like guessing and speculating on the future of the show. Although with these descriptions, I would throw in, I thought this villain was weak from this season, so I get that Savitar aspect because I did not like Savitar.
So you're going to be a little savage?
Yes,
All
I don't like
right.
Savitar, so I have to be.
But you're
a little
still
bit
a big fan of
Savitar.
the Flash,
Is
though.
that going to be your cosplay suit next year, Savitar?
I wasn't a big fan of the design.
We'll get
Welcome
I mean-
back, Kyle.
Aren't you a big Flash fan, though?
I am,
That's what I'm just saying. I'm surprised he didn't say
but
that.
based on the descriptions, though,
Okay.
I matched up more with
He
Cisco.
wasn't Flash last time either. He picked Cisco and Reverse Flash last time.
Oh.
Yes, Reverse Flash is an option.
But
It's
the
always-
Flash description is you are a big Flash
Yeah,
fan.
that's what
I
I'm
am,
saying.
but I didn't want to pick like 4 things and then cram them all together.
That
like
is
some
embarrassing.
people. Yeah, it's weird.
Deal with
Yeah.
it.
It's
Deal
on.
with it, people.
Welcome back, Kyle.
And Kristen sighs because she has picked all of them.
I have not actually.
Minus one.
She hasn't picked any yet.
You know what, girl? It's the
Any.
way to handle things sometimes. Don't listen to them.
I'm Kristen.
Hi, Kristen.
Hi,
Hello.
Kristen.
I'm gonna pick one.
Wow.
Now she's trying to be contradictory.
No, I was only gonna pick one. I'm picking Iris West.
Francisco West. She's picking all of them, but kind of scrunching them in.
No, she picked
No, I'm
Iris.
messing.
Iris West. I am a Flash fangirl now,
Yes.
but I'm a fan of this Flash. I don't know the other Flashes, so I can't be a general Flash fangirl.
Ezra Miller is terrible.
What's terrible?
Ezra Miller.
Yeah, we don't like him.
That he's the movie Flash.
Garbo.
Yeah. So no, I'm Iris, and I relate to her a lot. I think I kind of mentioned this in our mid-season roundup that I really relate to Iris. She wasn't one of the characters I could pick at the mid-season, but I could have, if I would have been able to, I would have, because I feel like in this group of people, she was kind of the outsider at first because she wasn't clued in to the Flash, and I wasn't
That's
clued
kinda
in to
true.
all the
Yeah, I
comic
see
book
that.
stuff.
Yeah.
So I really relate to Iris that now she's kind of more part of the team, and I feel like I'm more part of the team.
Aww.
And I'm kind of a journalist in my real non-podcast life, so I relate to her on that front too.
And I believe I said in the roundup that she shares similar fashion sense.
Okay.
I don't look anything like her. I mean,
Fashion.
but fashion sense, I could see that.
Welcome back, Kristen.
Thank you. Happy to be here.
My turn?
I guess.
Finally.
Jeez. My goodness. None of these are great.
What's
for
your
me.
name?
Spencer.
No,
Where's your
if
British
I sounded
accent?
like that, I'd shoot myself.
Yeah, we've already,
Oh!
we've already
Egotistical.
associated
Yeah.
Spencer with grumpiness and English accents. You can't
It was also a joke.
Nick?
Hi, Nick.
I think the best character description is Cisco, but I don't know. There's plenty of pop culture that I'm not in on. Game of Thrones.
Ugh.
Yeah,
You
whatever.
probably
Missing
should
out.
tell
Keep
people
bringing
this.
that up.
You,
Just inviting stuff.
you are really.
Sorry? I'm still
You
not going to watch it.
Cisco would watch it.
I agree with you.
Yeah, Cisco would watch it.
Yeah, exactly.
That's why I said none of these really work best for me, but Cisco's the closest.
Well, welcome back.
This is my
Wow.
first time here.
Well, for Flash.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But welcome back to the DC panels, what
That's
she's saying.
right.
And she said it so
I'm
enthusiastically.
trying, well, that's part of our report. And of course, my name is Kylie. And the last time I moderated this Flash podcast, which was much different, I was Flash and Iris. And I would remain there, I think. I would add a little Cisco, too. I enjoy his character. I am kind of a pop culture addict. Obviously, I do a lot of TV podcasting, so that kind of puts me there. But I'm not good at names, so I'm not going to totally I'm not going to totally take on Cisco.
At least you're owning it.
I'm
Yeah.
owning it. Self-awareness is good. So, welcome back to the DCTU panel. Welcome to our Flash Season 3 podcast. Now, I think I can safely say this is everybody's favorite in the Arrowverse. Am I right?
Easily.
Yeah.
Yeah, it
Bye.
is.
Yep.
By a long way.
Yep.
Okay, so let's talk about Season 3. Season 3 was complex. It was up, it was down, it was sideways, it was flash pointy. What did you think? What did you like? What didn't you like?
I'm going to start. I was just going to start off by saying that even though people will probably feel that this was the weakest season, I still think at its weakest point, it's still much better than all the other DC shows.
I agree.
I
Yeah,
agree with
true.
that.
Yep.
Strongest cast, best.
Strong, yeah, very, very strong cast. I will agree with that.
It's the
Definitely.
cohesiveness of the cast,
Yeah.
too.
Yeah.
Although I would put an asterisk next to that with the Wally West character.
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
agree.
And then
Keenan
forcing
Lonsdale
him,
is the weak
forcing
one.
him into the limelight so much so early didn't do the show any
Yeah.
favors.
No.
But
I
it's
don't
still,
understand. I mean, initially I think the thought was they were only going to do Kid Flash for a minute. They actually made him a whole element of this season. Along
Again,
with Jesse Quick.
Again, a part of a posse again.
I actually
Yes.
liked Jesse Quick
I
more than I
really
liked
Yeah, I
like
like
Jesse
Jesse
Quick.
way more. Like when at first when she had her powers and he
She's more
didn't, I was
engaging.
fine with
I
that.
was, I love Jesse Quick.
She's more engaging.
She is more engaging. All I'm saying is, whoa, look at all the speedsters on
Yeah.
top of the speedster villains. So
But
by
that is kind of the Flash universe.
yeah.
it is
Yeah.
the Flash
And part of my thing is
universe,
they
but
made
could
Wally
leave it out.
as fast as Barry.
There was-
And
I-
they've in the comics
I
they've
have a problem
never
with that.
been that close.
No.
Yeah.
Especially
No.
Barry like really had to learn his powers, and Wally it just seemed like within a day he was.
He just
fine.
picked it up, and he was.
I
yeah.
get that
He
they
shouldn't
tried
have
to
been-
explain that off that, he was able to learn from
Watching
trial and
it,
error
yeah.
of how the Flash had to learn. But I feel
Still.
like Wells pushed the Flash forward as quickly as possible.
Yeah.
Well, and plus there are quirks of the Wally West version that he doesn't really demonstrate in this version of Wally West.
No, he's really kind of his own character with the name Wally West. He's
Yeah.
very different from the comic book.
And it's hard to relate to him a little bit. I don't know if it's because he's like super young or he's just not equal to the task of what he's been given, or maybe a little bit of both. I don't know. He doesn't even fit chemistry-wise very well with Candace Patton and with Jesse L. Martin, so it's really hard to enjoy him.
That
in
part I
this
don't
role.
mind because I feel as him being this son that
They
you know,
didn't
they
know
didn't
each
really
other.
know about, and he's suddenly thrust into their lives. I can see that awkwardness there. That I don't mind. It's just he's superfluous to needs in the show.
He is, and I agree, but I think a stronger actor would carry that story better.
Yeah.
I just don't.
He was too angsty.
He's too angsty.
Plus,
Yeah.
in terms of Flash mythology, Wally should have came
way
when
later.
Barry's
later.
way more seasoned. Like that's the whole strength of their dynamic is Wally's kind of like his almost like his nephew in the
Adopted
comics,
son.
but almost his adopted son.
Mm-hmm.
And they just forced Wally into the show way too early.
So is it more like what those moments we have of Jay Garrick with
Yes.
Barry?
Yes, exactly.
That's kind of the through line on the whole Flash universe, I think. They pass it on, torch passing. But yeah, I agree. Kid Flash was a weak point on the season. And here again, just way overbloated with the speedsters. It's fun in theory, but it's season 3. Like, what are they going to do in season 4, 5, and 6?
Well, and them trying to drag out the mystery of Savitar's identity, but it's like I wasn't that engaged in it. I felt like
I
the
wasn't
season would have
either.
worked better if they would have did that reveal earlier and then played more with
Right.
With
the
it.
dark side of Barry. Like
It
Spoiler,
made it
yeah.
more, yeah.
Spoiler:
Yeah,
Savitar is Barry.
It got to the point
time
where it's like,
remnant,
I don't
yeah.
care who
the
it
evil
is,
time
just get rid of
remnant
him.
Barry,
Yeah.
who
And
became
evil-
kind of like bitter and
And
'Cause
Evil
he
Time
wanted to
Remnant
survive.
from
Yes.
Flashpoint. That was
Yeah.
supposed to be the end result of
Yeah.
Flashpoint.
But by the
which I
time
thought
we
was
got there,
really
it was
good.
kind of in that anticlimactic realm.
Yeah.
One thing
Flashpoint.
which
generally
after
is-
Flashpoint was so anticlimactic.
Oh my
And
gosh.
then to
it
have
was.
Yeah. You guys even were building it up.
because it's so
'Cause I was
huge in
watching
the
it to be
comics.
this
It's
It's
big
like
such a
one
big
of the
thing.
most critical things in the
In the
entire
DC universe.
Universe,
Yes.
not just the Flash, and they were building up to it a lot, and like there was
And their
so
promos
yeah.
and how
There
how
was
they were
so
hyping up in
much build-up.
interviews.
And
It's
then it
almost
just-
like they had a writers' meeting where they said, wait a minute, if we do too much messing with Flashpoint in the time stream, we have to work out how it's going to affect
Everything
Arrow
else.
and Legends, and oops, we better not do that.
Yeah.
And that's why only the gender of a baby was changed.
Which was terrible
the more you
because
think
they
about that, the
wasted
more it
it.
makes my brain hurt.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't mean to sound so vehement, but this was my number one.
It was their big selling point, though.
It
And
was
then,
the big selling point. My number one critique on the season. Flashpoint could have been so much more.
It could have been the season.
It could have
It
been
could have been
the
the
whole
whole
season.
Not
season.
have
And I
the
think we all
third
expected it to be the whole
Yeah.
Yeah.
season.
There was lots of predictions. We
It
had
lasted
in the
like
last season,
3
or
episodes.
episode.
I'll also say, don't ever take away the fun Cisco again.
Oh, I know.
He,
When
he
he
came
was
back and they
dark
weren't
and
friends.
broody and hated
Oh,
Barry
that
and,
was awful.
Yeah.
and wasn't
You
doing
know
any
what?
of his pop culture
Yeah,
stuff. It was
talk-
just...
Oh, yeah.
Ugh.
It was almost heartbreaking
Yeah.
because
Would have killed the episodes.
yeah, because I mean that he's always the light. He's always the light for their whole team. He's always finding that way to make it. And yeah, he was just again so angsty. And I understand the reasonings why, but it
Yeah,
just
the
I hate
storyline
how
wise,
much
it just was just so
Painful.
It really was. It took all of the fun, which the Flash as a show has
It's
been.
supposed to be fun.
It took
it
all the
has
fun
all
out
the
of it.
elements. It has the fun. It has the drama. It has some of the rom-com stuff. It all usually blends together really well. But because of some of the storylines that they chose to go with, it took away from some of those aspects that we've grown to love it for.
I just didn't like how much Cisco hated Barry as well and blaming him.
Like, he was really hateful.
He almost blamed Cisco as if he literally shot his brother,
Yeah.
not just altered the timeline that caused his brother's death, which is why he was depressed.
Or run back in time and try to change it again.
So it just went along with
Yeah.
being annoyed with what they did with that character and how it tanked those episodes.
Well, and that was one of the positive aspects that could have come out of Flashpoint, which they kind of teased, but not until the second half of the season, really with regard to the temptation and responsibility that Barry has as the Flash and his abilities to be able to go back in time, forward in time. I mean, he has a lot of power in many ways because he can affect things so dramatically. But the way they chose to play it out and just trying to marry it to the Savitar storyline,
Yeah.
it didn't work as well. You know, the past 2 seasons, the Reverse Flash season, the Zoom seasons, those were flawless in their execution. This one just felt like they were like, well, let's try to stick it here, let's try to stick it here, and try to marry it. And I think you're right. I think they got more than they bargained for when they started down the Flashpoint road.
Yeah, they're like, this is the biggest story in the DC universe. We're in that
Yeah.
character. We have to do it. And then they put themselves at the point of doing it, and then they realized that in writing it, it's going to affect too much of the entire universe, and I don't think they were prepared for that.
Yeah. I mean, they'd have to write whole characters different. I just think they realized it was too much work for them, and so they quickly switched back.
Which, again, they should never have. They could have done They could have, done something else to create Savitar. Although arguably, I mean, they're getting away from.
They already had a
speedsters.
reason why Savitar could have. I mean,
Yeah.
Barry created that duplicate at the end of season 2, the one that ran to his death.
Right.
You could have just said he ran into the Speed Force and got trapped. Because
Right.
that was my prediction when I was watching the first episodes, and they said Savitar. I was like, okay, it's that duplicate Barry made that sacrificed himself.
Yeah.
And I felt like that would have been so much neater than all the complicated history they tried to give him.
Yeah.
And I did not like Dark Barry at all.
No.
It just felt so unnatural.
Yeah.
It was emo-y. It kind of reminds me of
Ezra Miller.
Yeah.
well, and also like with the original Spider-Man movies,
Yep,
when
I was gonna say that.
when it got to Spider-Man
Emo
3,
Maguire.
the emo Tobey Maguire, like it was just so.
Well-
now I don't think Grant Gustin was as bad as Tobey Maguire's, but
No.
it still had that similar. Because I love Grant Gustin, but it's still the same. It still had the same feeling. Like, wait a minute, this is kind of.
He acted it well.
He did.
Yeah.
It just didn't.
That wasn't
fit.
my problem with
It
it. It
just
just
was
felt
awkward.
so. Ugh.
Well, here's my thing, too, about that. Barry in the comic books and in everything, he's a rock. Reverse
Yeah.
Flash tried to break him by murdering his mom. It made him more of a hero.
Mm-hmm.
Like, when the Flash loses somebody, it just, like, straightens his path. I get they're trying to play up how important Iris is to him, but
that
he
would just
shouldn't.
make him more determined.
Yeah, it should make him more determined.
Especially
not,
since, because the one thing you've always said, which has always stuck with me, is, Iris is his lightning rod. So that should be even more the reason for him to, refocus.
Yeah, I mean, in the comics, Reverse Flash kills Iris, and he doesn't go dark. He turns himself into the cops after he murders Reverse Flash. Mm-hmm. And it's like this whole point of he will stay on that path more than anybody else. And they kind of just completely turn that on its head, which kind of annoyed me.
Kind of took away from Barry's character.
Yes.
I will say, though, that Dark Barry and Savitar was a lot better outcome than I thought where it was going, which started with the Philosopher's Stone and Draco Malfoy
They
playing
completely
Dr.
wasted
Alchemy.
Dr. Alchemy.
I know,
Yeah, they did.
and
Yeah.
I love
Tom
Tom
Felton.
Felton a lot.
He did
He's
a really
great.
good job.
I
I
enjoyed
liked
it.
I
Julian.
really
I
like
liked
it.
it.
I hated Julian at the start where
Yes.
he randomly hates Barry so
But you're
much for no
supposed
reason.
to.
Yeah.
But I liked him once he was clued in and he was part of it. I liked him as part of the team.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I did too.
I did as well.
His
But they
relation-
did waste Dr. Alchemy,
Who's a big Flash
Yeah.
villain.
Yeah, they could have definitely gone further with that for sure.
Although I will
Could it
say,
have been the main villain?
he could have.
I think
Yeah.
it could have. You don't
And-
think so?
I don't know, Dr. Alchemy.
I mean, even the one
But what
one
did
off
you
with
think?
Abracadabra, I loved that. Abracadabra's
Yeah,
one. He's
Abracadabra episode
he's a
was good.
silly comic book villain, but kind of like Captain Cold, who in the comics you wouldn't think you'd be able to translate into a live action version. They did it, and they did it so good.
Mm-hmm.
And that actor was really good. He was also in Gotham this season, so he's
Is
like
that
all
the
over.
one-
He was Jerome's follower,
Right, Jerome
the one who
Flower.
cut off
Tries
his
to be
face
Jerome.
and tried to be Jerome.
Yeah, that's right. No, I loved the Abracadabra episode. All the little one-offs where they brought in
Really good.
individuals instead of the overarching villain, I thought were really, really well done.
Yeah.
What about the two-off with Grodd?
I loved the Gorilla
Yeah,
Girl.
I mean,
Yeah.
even
I love
even
that.
with their
fantastic.
Yeah, they're
I
I
mean-
just
real
still,
done.
I go back to when we talked about this before. I don't think any of us ever thought we were going to see Gorilla Grodd be
So
on a.
realistically.
Yeah.
I know.
and then
Well,
not just Gorilla Grodd, but then their whole
Yeah,
city.
Cape City.
Yeah.
Gorilla
So
City.
cool.
I didn't think we'd ever see. I was gonna say a land shark, whatever.
King Shark.
King
King
Shark.
shark, but because when we first see him, it seems more like a joke
Yeah,
because they just wrap it up. It was just
He
a
gets
side
shot.
thing in that episode, but they brought him back too. So I'm really glad they did bring Gorilla Grodd back.
Yeah, they did it very, very well.
Those two episodes were great.
Oh, and the start with Reverse Flash when he was in it, he was really great too. Especially him getting the kicks out of, he's killing Barry's mom to be a hero, and that was great too. Like every villain they had in this season was so much better than Savitar.
Yes.
Yeah.
Including, I have to mention it. Let's go to it. The musical episode.
Oh, we're already going there.
Yeah, we're going there because we're jumping around anyway. I mean, you went mid-season with the Gorilla Grab ones.
See, I
Going
didn't.
on one-offs.
See, I didn't love the musical episode because them having it in that little fantasy, it's like none of them were their Flash characters. So
Right.
for me, it didn't feel like a musical Flash episode. It felt like it could have been a completely different show with these same actors being different characters.
I mean,
and
it was
singing.
cute and all. It just doesn't fit.
It was
It was-
a Glee dream sequence.
Yeah.
Yes.
It was a way to get all the Glee people to sing.
So, counterpoint, because when we talked about the prospect of the musical episode, y'all weren't having it because you didn't see how it could fit in the comic book superhero universe. Here I'm sitting here watching it and saying, oh, look, they found a way.
They found a way. It was entertaining, but it wasn't an
It still doesn't quite fit.
It was like, hey, we've got all these people that can sing. Let's do a musical
And they're
episode.
wonderful
Yeah.
singers.
And it was.
I just feel like the writers could have put more work into that episode, and it could have been something better.
I enjoyed it, and I thought Darren Criss was cute, and Jeremy Jordan kicked the crap out of everybody with his
the
song.
two Broadway with Victor Garber and Jeremy Jordan. I mean,
Storyline-wise, the episode wasn't terrible. It just
doesn't fit.
It was a
weird.
standalone. It was a
Yeah.
special. It was not.
and that's how they marketed it. It
It
was
also
personally-
did a musical proposal with Grant Justine Iris, and it was really cute. I liked it. 4 stars.
It just felt
Two
like
thumbs
it
up.
felt like to me. It felt like okay, if you're gonna have Supergirl crossover, that was a wasted way to use Supergirl.
Yeah.
But they don't use her in the other crossover, so why would they use her?
Yeah,
Exactly.
but
So
the
we
other
had
crossovers,
two
to be fair,
crossovers
was
where she
right
did
as they
almost
just got
nothing.
Supergirl.
What?
The other crossovers with Supergirl were right on the back of them actually getting the character of Supergirl and having that show. They didn't have time to do
Right.
as much.
Yeah.
They could have done more with it in this
Yeah.
vein.
yeah.
They tried it. Music Meister's a real villain. A very
From the
small...
Batman comic or cartoon.
It was a bit of fun, but it didn't fit.
Batgirls from the
That's
Batman.
that's just how I feel. I mean, I
60s.
liked it. I genuinely did. Like I said, they're all wonderful singers. I like that they came together, but it doesn't fit, and it definitely didn't fit in the midst of this season. I'm sorry, it didn't.
Yeah,
I
it
thought
was a
it was
standalone
a breath of
special.
fresh air in between all that Savitar business.
Well, yeah, if you put it up next to just Savitar.
Yeah.
I also thought it was a good way to have me care more about a second proposal to Iris.
Yes.
To have it.
Yeah.
Because the
More
first
genuine.
proposal
Built.
was rushed.
Yeah.
Because he
Well,
was
he's-
trying to change the future.
Because the proposal actually happens when they're back in like reality, right? And he's
Yeah.
singing to her.
Yeah.
That's the best part of the whole episode. The rest of it doesn't fit.
And that was one of the only original songs, too. Was
Yeah.
the one
The other
with the
original
proposal.
song I did not like.
No,
The
the one
Super Friends.
Super Friends.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was a little.
That was a little tongue in
Cheesy.
cheek.
Yeah, I did not care for that song.
No, they all sang well. The stylistic elements were good, but it didn't fit
Yeah.
as a part of the season. If they just done it as a standalone special and not tried to connect it at all, I would have probably enjoyed it more.
Like
and I
even
did not
as
enjoy
like
it.
a Christmas special or something like but I don't know. I still think it takes away from the Flash. I'm sorry. I know you really liked it.
I did.
You are on an island of one.
Yep.
No, I enjoyed it too, Kylie.
Thanks, Nick.
Yeah, but
Hooray.
you're
Yeah,
on a
but
little
Nick's-
raft just
yeah.
off the
Plus,
island.
Nick's not as invested. I can tell.
Wow.
Jeez.
Are you?
Judgy.
Invested in what?
The Flash overall.
The show?
Yeah.
No, I like the show.
Are you? That's not what I asked. Are you as
You mean
invested?
I don't know the characters from the comic book, so I'm not upset with anything they do with them.
It's
Because
like Gotham. He
I
doesn't
don't know if they're
it.
doing anything wrong.
That's how I feel, but I feel like I'm more invested than Nick.
Yeah.
Let's go around the table and rank everyone's investments as compared to Nick's.
I had a question about the Music Maestro, but if he's from the cartoon,
He's
maybe
from a cheesy Batman cartoon that's based on the '60s Batman, so it's very like kid oriented, goofy.
Okay.
Perfect for dinner.
So did I miss something, or was it not well written? Where he was like absorbing their powers to do evil. but
That's what
then
he was
ended-
making it seem like, but he's really
But then
like
it's just like,
benign.
oh, I was just trying to help you guys with your relationship.
He was essentially Cupid.
yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Now it kind of lessens it.
I
for
still
you,
enjoyed the episode.
Yeah, I agree. I enjoyed the episode. I just don't feel it fit in the season. And my
Your stomach agrees.
agrees.
It's like gross.
So let's talk about Caitlin.
Who's Caitlin?
Killer
Frost.
Frost.
Oh, okay.
Which was teased in season 2
Shut up.
in the
Yeah.
alternate.
Here's something that bothered me about her being so scared about becoming Killer Frost. She met Killer Frost, and Killer Frost had good aspects too. But she just like, okay, I'm going to turn pure evil. Cisco met his evil twin, and he was not afraid of becoming evil anymore.
I hate that aspect of her story that she can,
Yeah, why can't
she
she
can't
control
have
it?
her powers.
Why
for
can't
a
she? Yeah.
second.
Why can't she just
That is
be
ridiculous to me.
Killer Frost who wants to help her people?
What?
Like,
Just don't call yourself Killer Frost.
Yeah.
Well, she kind of has to.
Frost.
Although I did like when
Call yourself
Savitar was
Black
making
Frost.
fun of her, and he's like, "You haven't killed anybody."
I mean, I like her power. I think she's super badass when she's being Killer Frost.
I liked the Killer Frost character.
Yeah.
I didn't necessarily like the fact that Caitlin had no power over Killer Frost.
I just don't think
She's
that'd
a
be
stronger
true. Yeah, she's a
character.
strong person.
Yeah.
Like, she's gone through a lot of
Wouldn't it
crap.
be better to see her struggle with it as Killer, like to fight the feelings of becoming Killer Frost, as opposed to Caitlin just trying to prevent it from happening? I think
Which
that'd
I
be more
think
dynamic.
might be where they're going in the third season.
Yeah, I was
Based
just
on the
gonna
first
say the same thing.
episode.
But at the same time, no, I agree. I think her sort of switch on, switch off aspect, and the fact that she couldn't find a middle ground,
Yeah, like they're
Where
trying
she's
to like
dying
find
up
a
right
queen.
now.
Yeah, find a
yeah,
cure.
she's
She's dying,
not
and
like
they,
that.
They,
remove her necklace.
and she's not only healed but evil. Like
Yeah.
that.
She's
None
like,
of the it
"Thank you,
doesn't
boys,
work
now
like
you're all
that.
going to die.
It doesn't
Yeah.
work like that
Yeah.
with any
She's
other
like
meta that
Dr.
they
Jekyll and Mr.
they're either
Hyde.
bad
I think
before.
they're going for her heart is cold, so she cares for none of them. But
But that's not true.
It's
That's not
true.
true at all, because there's many times where, like, yeah, in the episodes when things are happening, you can see that her judgment is wavering because she's supposed to be working for Avatar, but she's like, no, I'm
Avatar.
sorry.
Yeah.
I'm sorry I misspoke. God.
hey, you guys jumped on my
She's
throat.
over to James Cameron.
Clearly, your level of interest isn't nearly that.
Dwindling.
Okay.
Damn, Karma.
I would be using really bad words if this wasn't recording. Okay.
Surprise.
The abuse.
Shedding more light into your. Oh, it doesn't
So
matter.
that includes
family.
Fair enough. Okay,
Dynamics.
but what was I even saying?
Something about
Damn it, you
Frost
derailed me
Something about
again.
Avatar.
and Savitar.
Working with Avatar.
Yes, there's times in her you can totally see her personal struggle, and doesn't she help them a few times? Like, kind of
Yeah,
help
she-
them?
She gives him a
Well,
break,
even then, she's
but
like, "I'm gonna kill you next time."
Yeah.
It's like,
Yeah.
well,
I
she
will be
has
so
to
nice
say
next
that.
time. Yeah.
Well, she doesn't.
I
Those
was
words
saying-
were written.
I don't think they showed her internal struggle quite
No.
properly.
I agree.
And I think the actress could play that well, too.
I think
Yeah.
she could. I think she's kind of played it along the line.
I mean, Earth 2
Well, what
Killer
else are you
Frost, she
supposed
was
to do?
great when she was more layered Killer Frost, and that was way more interesting than her Earth 1 where she just flips to pure evil.
Yeah.
So many Earths.
Oh, there are so
Many
Earths.
Earths, yeah, more than
There's
what
at least
more than what
23.
they've. I was gonna say more than what they've talked about, but I like her overall look too, because I was wondering how they were gonna make her look when they ultimately made her that
I
character.
agree. The costuming and makeup for
I mean,
Killer
yeah, I
Frost
mean,
is fun.
it's because in the comics she's just like wearing like a leotard.
She's blue.
Right.
Yeah.
That's why I'm like, what are you gonna do with that? Yeah.
Is her name, is it Caitlin Snow in the comics
Yeah.
too? So everybody kind of knew it was coming.
Yeah,
when-
yeah.
Oh,
When
yeah.
they announced her and
Nice.
Cisco Ramon, everyone was like, "Oh, Vibe and Killer
It was
Frost."
so funny, like, because Kyle does that thing. I think. Well, you weren't in the other. Like
wasn't.
when he's watching these things, he's always like, like he knows exactly what's coming. It's kind of entertaining to watch along with the show itself.
Like in this season, they mention Abracadabra mentions, "Oh, you haven't fought your greatest villains." He mentions DeVoe, who's the villain of next season. So like as soon as he said DeVoe, I was like, "Yes, a non-speedster villain's coming."
Well, they already guaranteed that because enough people complained about the number of speed.
Well, it was
All
too
the speeds.
formulaic.
Yes.
I mean, part of the fun of Barry's villains is they're so different in their power sets and how they deal with them.
Bring Captain
It makes it
Cold
so much more
back.
interesting.
Wink, wink.
Not
It feels like we just discussed that
We did
in
not.
like 2 other podcasts.
I mean, it's gonna happen. It is a multiverse.
We keep talking about like the things we didn't like, but I do like how they're using Jay Garrick
Yes.
as
love
the
him.
voice of reason, the
mentor.
father.
I love him.
I mean, I love the fact that they keep hammering with Barry, like, you can't run through time and change it, and then Barry tries to do it, and he just rips him right out of the Speed Force.
Like, what are you doing,
No,
son?
it's
And,
like,
like,
come
schools
on,
him.
kid.
Remember like 2 minutes ago when I said you can't?
yeah, exactly. It's like,
What the hell's wrong with you, kid?
Yeah.
and
They
I
need
certainly
more Jay
hope they
Garrick.
keep bringing Jay Garrick back like that.
He's
Their
so
dynamic
good.
is so good, and it definitely makes up for the Barry-Wally dynamic lacking.
Well, and it's fun that they still find a way to use whatever his name is. That
John Wesley shit.
John
Yeah.
Wesley Ship.
And
Sorry, it's that
question
time of night.
from the non-comic book reader: are Barry's dad and Jay Garrick, are they doppelgangers in
No.
the comic? No, that
No.
was a new thing.
Jay Garrick pretty much was Earth 2, and he was a Flash for a really long time. And in the original comics, he was the first Flash.
Yeah, the first one.
But in the 40s and 50s,
Golden Age.
Jay
That's
Garrick
what it
was
was.
the only Flash. And then in the 1952, they
Silver
created the new one
Which
and
is-
pretended like the Jay Garrick didn't exist. And a couple years later,
Didn't he exist in a comic?
he existed in a comic that Barry loved. And then Barry finds out there's another Earth where Jay Garrick is real.
Gotcha.
So he always grew up reading about Jay Garrick. And then they become friends. And then they teach each other different ways to use their powers.
But then the other piece of trivia you may not have been aware of because you were not part of the last episode is that John Wesley Shipp played Barry Allen / The Flash in the 1980s version of The Flash.
Really?
In 1989. Yep.
That's cool.
Yeah.
And Mark Hamill was
Mark
the...
Hamill is in both as the trickster.
Yeah.
So
He
Which
was
was also
captured.
the progenitor of the Joker's voice on Batman the Animated Series.
He's
and
the,
It's
beyond.
all
he's the
connected.
Mark Hamill's the longest running Joker. I know that. But no, I really like that Jay Garrick and Barry's dad are played by the same actor. I feel like that adds a whole.
That's what
other
I
layer
mean.
to
That
the
added because I
relationship.
love Jay Garrick. I've always loved Jay Garrick, and to me that was such a brilliant move to add a depth to him.
What did we think about the newest version of Harrison Wells?
I-
I love it.
Yeah, here's
Love
the
I
thing.
him.
always love him.
I thought
all
it was
the
going to
time.
be so cheesy and
Me too,
stupid, and
but
I
it
didn't
was
like him
awesome.
at first.
Yeah,
No,
I didn't like him
I-
at first
I
because he
did.
wasn't as clever as the
Exactly.
previous incarnations.
It's
but
like
he
when
was
But he really
very much needed comic relief in the
Yeah.
first 3 episodes of the season.
He was me, but the thing is that he's the kind of clever that you don't think he's going to be clever, but he actually is clever.
Well, in the
Many
season, they're so
times.
angsty and dark that you needed the funnier
He helps-
HR versus the more serious Harry.
That's
Yeah.
where I was.
Tom
And they didn't get rid
Kavanaugh.
of Harry. They still had him pop up a couple of times.
which I love.
I love
And
it.
Tom Cavanaugh is
Oh, so
Amazing.
good. Everything
Yeah.
I've seen him in, he's awesome.
Although I will say, as soon as they introduced his face-changing thing, and they already introduced that Iris was going to die, in that episode I was like, oh, it's not Iris that dies, it's somebody wearing that.
Yeah, they telegraphed some of the stuff.
Because they showed the Iris thing first,
I
and
was
then
so
they showed the
focused, I missed
face-changing.
that. I missed it.
I say I didn't catch that.
No.
Yeah, and then they really focused on it in 2 episodes. Like, so when
They were
if you
late.
went
I
back,
missed
yeah,
it.
if you went back,
I
you'd be like,
If
it's
I went
so
back
obvious
now-
foreshadowing.
Yeah.
I
The
feel like they
twist
used
totally
it far
got me.
enough. Oh, like they didn't
Far
use
enough,
it that
like, right.
much.
I forget
He
the
Kyle's
expression.
really good at picking up on those things though and remembering them. I tend to I'll miss it and then I'll
I
be
was
like,
totally
oh yeah.
caught by the twist. And
Yeah.
really-
I forget the expression, but there is a saying in film and in TV and in movies: don't show something on screen unless it means something.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So if you get something like that, it is going to come
mean
up again
something.
later if
But-
the
but it-
writers are doing the
when
right
they
thing. You don't
intru-
spend any time on something if it has no use.
What I like about it is what they used it for when we first find out about it is so that he could go out in public.
Because in that
Because-
world, Harrison Wells is like
He's
a
dead.
murderer.
Yeah.
That face is considered a murderer. They always refer to the original Wells as a murderer, but that was Eobard.
As
But he
that.
remember he did a video confession
Right,
of
that's
killing
why-
Barry's mom, so
but,
they think
but
he's
like
a murderer.
Cisco thinks that, like they'll say, "Oh, the original Wells was a murderer." When
When it's
I
the
hate when
second
they make
Wells.
that, yeah,
yeah.
it wasn't a scientist Wells at all.
So yes,
Somebody
they
looked like
explained
him.
it, but to write that just for that reason is
I think
not
it was necessary
good
for
movie
the
or
character.
TV making.
Yeah, I think
so
it was, that would be a question I would have. It's like, well, we now have 3 Wells, but the Wells that this Earth knows is kind of a
He's
bad
murderer,
dude.
Yeah.
So I could have been happy with just that explanation.
But I mean,
too.
they didn't even explain that with Harry walking around with that face. So it's like, so I didn't feel like I knew I was like, okay, they did in season 2 all the time without having to explain him hiding his face. So I knew in season 3 when they explained him hiding his face, it would come into play.
Yeah.
I was satisfied. I mean, I enjoyed Tom Cavanaugh, so
Yeah, I do too.
And I think the comic relief was very necessary, whoever made that comment, because this was such a dark and broody, almost kind of depressing at points season.
It was definitely a departure from what we've seen of The Flash through the first 2 seasons, which is a lot of light and happiness, which I think in the previous podcast when we've talked about it, what we've really enjoyed about the show in relationship to the rest of the universe.
Especially
So-
since Arrow's so
so
dark.
dark.
And
Yeah.
with this taking that dark turn, especially those first 3 episodes, if the whole season had stayed that way, it would have been very difficult to continue watching it.
So what about Barry and Iris, generally speaking? They're together finally, What did we think about them?
I like when they move in together and Wells brings a gift. He gives them a reptile because, what does he say? In my planet, we give reptiles.
I mean, I like that because
I like it.
Iris is his lightning rod. She's always what keeps him centered and balanced and focused. So I was like, I'd rather them do that than try to have like them on again, off again, different love interests for Barry. Like that would just get so
It'd be
played
so
out.
And it seemed,
Agreed.
I mean, it seems authentic. I mean, because we were talking about the relationships in Supergirl, and those don't seem as authentic.
Right, this one wasn't forced.
No.
It came organically.
No,
And
and
the
it,
chemistry on the show is fantastic.
yeah, and the way they handled them is how Arrow should have handled Ollie and Laurel. Like
Yes.
they're meant to be together, like they're connected, and they
Yes.
completely botched that because everybody loves Felicity.
Yes. That's for the Arrow podcast.
Well, it connects.
I know,
Yeah.
but still. Speaking of several Earths, they
No.
introduced what? They introduced a bounty hunter who was trying to get HR because he's a bad guy on Earth 19, and her name was Gypsy.
He's a bad guy on Earth 19 because he left Earth 19?
Yeah, they weren't supposed to jump.
Yeah.
Is that the only reason?
Say
Yeah.
that
Yeah.
law is a bit
Who
crazy.
cares?
Death
Yeah,
penalty.
Earth
Let it
19 is
go.
scary.
You have to. You're going to have all these alternative universes. You're going to have some that just from our standpoint don't make sense at all, but to
Sure.
them, our Earth makes no
Although
sense
it does,
at all.
it does
Yeah.
seem hypocritical though to like, oh, hire a bounty hunter who can specifically do the illegal thing.
But isn't that,
that
law-
you're trying to
laws
catch.
in general? The
I
people
was like, I
don't
guess
have to adhere to them.
politics alone.
Yeah.
I bought it.
I bought
mean,
it. I liked it.
as
I
long
liked
as
her.
they're- Yeah, me
Yeah.
too. And the chemistry with Cisco
Oh, it was fantastic.
awesome.
Yeah.
Cisco turning into a lovesick puppy every time it
Oh,
happens,
was
I just find
funny.
hilarious.
I feel like she should have. I don't know. When they battle and he wins because they analyze how she fights or whatever. I feel like she knows her powers a lot better than he does.
She does, but
Yeah.
their scientific side really does come into play a lot. They really are very good as a team.
That's good enough for you guys? Sorry.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Okay.
It's good enough for me.
because
I mean,
because they're
I mean,
a team
it is
and
a
they
show based
analyze
on a
everything.
comic
It really did make sense to me that she knows her powers, but she
And
doesn't know
suspend
that they're going to
reality.
analyze exactly how she jumps to take advantage of it.
To be quite honest with you, the rules they set up for this show, they follow pretty well. The
That's true.
continuity they set up for the show, they follow pretty well, but for Flashpoint. Flashpoint was the only thing they really
They
botched.
botched that.
What about Savitar?
Well, Savitar's, by the way they told the story, a product of Flashpoint, so I kind of connect them all, but yes.
I mean, yeah, he wasn't a super strong villain, we know that, but
I mean, Flashpoint did have a thread all the way through, but it wasn't as big of a thread as we all expected
Yeah.
it to be, and it didn't have the consequences that it should have had,
No.
far-reaching
Yeah.
across the entire universe.
Then there was Caitlin and Julian as a couple.
Loved
Yeah.
it.
I
liked
didn't
it.
mind it
See,
at
my
all.
thing
I
though
liked
is they
it.
give Caitlin a different love interest each season, so now it also feels like the same thing as having a speedster villain. It feels like, okay, I saw it in season 2 and I saw it in season 1.
Well,
I thought before it was just her fiance.
And
It
with,
was.
and
and
with, and with
Garrick,
Tom,
the first one.
yeah, and with Tom Felton departing,
Oh, so-
it means she's going to have another one. And
Oh yeah.
We don't know that. She's got to find love for herself as Killer Frost.
But I felt like that was still more. Wasn't it kind of more of Julian coming towards her? Like
it
It
was.
was.
She received
But she
it
does
at
by
some
the
point.
yeah, I was gonna say
She
by
did,
the end
I
she's
just-
more.
But then she almost had her near-death thing and lost her necklace, so there was no
It
more
felt somewhat
exploration.
organic. It just, again, it felt like it was trying to appeal to a demographic that they try to keep interested in these shows.
They didn't really ham-fist that one, though. It was
No.
subtle.
It was done better than the other ones we've talked about in different podcasts, but it still is the same contrived. We've got to have love interests in all of these shows, even though they don't really have much to do with the storyline.
it's not always a necessity.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
It's unnecessary, and they do it in every single show.
I'd like to see a female character be single for a while. I think that would be nice.
But I mean, I do think like for having that plot, they did do it better than a lot. Like they didn't like force it right away. It was over.
It
quite a
wasn't
few
overly
episodes.
sappy.
it was.
And he was really supportive of her struggle, which was kind of nice.
The writers do well on this show, generally
Yeah.
speaking. What about Once and Future Flash? This was the glimpse into 2024, where we also had a return of Top and the, I think, introduction or return of Mirror Master.
Return.
Yeah,
Return.
the future versions of them.
Future versions, and basically this is if Savitar had succeeded in killing Iris, and where we first meet a depressed Time Remnant.
I actually liked the Future Flash, seeing the distraught, kind of given up on life, almost as if he was a drunk hobo Flash. It worked with how important Iris is to the Flash.
I did like the kind of desperate Cisco who just wants to bring the gang back together. Like, that's his glory days, and he just really wants to make it work, which was a nice contrast to the mopey, angry Cisco from the actual start of the season.
I liked Joe in the future as well, with his struggles and him having lost basically everything. He lost Iris,
I like
Barry.
how affected it is. Like, it just wasn't Iris for him.
Yeah.
And you really realize just how much Barry means to him, and that Barry kind of abandoned him on top of that was, like, crushing.
Mm-hmm.
I thought it was a nice centering point for the characters. I liked
Although it
that
did
episode.
feel, my only complaint about that one, I did like the episode, but the whole basis of him learning that he keeps messing up by traveling through time, and then him go, I have a brilliant idea. Instead of going to the past, I'll travel through time to the future. Like, it feels like Barry's not learning his lesson.
I agree.
But in saying that, going to the future, you can't affect the past. By going into the past, you can affect the future. By going into the future, you can't affect the past. So he kind of sort of learns. It's like, okay, if I do it the other way, I'll learn some stuff rather than break some stuff.
True to a point, but I just feel like it still goes against what Jay Garrick was telling him. He was going to run back to the future originally, too, to keep checking on Iris's death and keep seeing how different things, and that's when he pulled him out of the time stream and told him not to do it.
It's a parent telling a child, no, you shouldn't do that, and the child going, okay, I'm going to go do that.
Yeah.
I didn't know what to say.
I have no response to that particular piece of thing. Captain Cole came back to help with the King Shark episode, which was fun. They were stealing a Speed Force bazooka, because that's what Tracy named it. Did we like Tracy?
Love Tracy.
I like Tracy. She
I
was
like
cute
liked
with
her
HR.
I like Tracy with HR. That was the
For me,
relationship
that was-
that didn't feel forced.
Yeah, for me that was the most
perfect.
crushing thing about his sacrifice at the end of the season.
I
It's like he had
know.
just found his place.
Yeah.
With Tracy.
Yes.
It was
Are
pretty
we going to
cute.
see Tracy again?
I hope we do, because I
She
thought
was
she was
good.
good.
She was good. She added something. She added an element that the team didn't have.
Exactly. Like, she was her own unique voice.
And the other things I've seen that actress do, she plays a very different character. And it's usually the same kind of character, so to see her do something different and really enjoy the character she's playing was nice.
I mean, it'd be a shame if they don't use her. I mean, they built up how in the future she's, like, such a genius and important to this world. So if she's just done with this season, I'll be upset.
Well, and I wonder, which version of Wells will we see next? Maybe she finds another version of Wells, unless Harry's coming back to stay.
I mean, I would think Harry would come back because his daughter's...
She's still in...
She's
on.
on-
Is she in Earth?
She was still on Earth 3.
I read something about Tom Cavanagh at a Comic-Con saying that there was many different Welleses to come, but he wasn't going to give up anything about whether it was for this season, coming season at least, whether it was going to be the same Wells that we had from Earth 2 or something completely different, but he's loving playing the character because he can be so many things.
Yeah, so like,
Well,
I'm
the
excited to
best
see
part
what I see,
about
but
that is he's not leaving.
yeah,
No, he's not.
All right.
as long as they don't like mention he's going to replace Victor Garber on Legends, we'll be okay.
Oh, yeah, please keep him off that show.
It
Keep
seems
him where
like,
he is.
yeah.
I don't think that. I mean, they
I don't
can't.
need her.
No,
They
that's-
just-
I was just joking.
Yeah.
I'm just saying, like, they keep putting their strong people on Legends and wasting them.
So let's talk about where this season ends. The big deal is everybody finds out Savitar is a buried time remnant that we've already spoiled. And there's this big battle. All the things that they see in the future kind of come to pass. Vibe and Killer Frost battle it out. And we
Pretty
see
cool looking.
It wasn't
Yeah.
very fun.
and Iris doesn't in fact die because H.R. Wells pulls a switcheroo and ends up being the Iris with this fancy technology.
That was a nice way around Barry knowing exactly, or Savitar Barry, knowing exactly what Barry was planning and going to do. So it was a nice answer to the problem that they created.
It was.
Well, and it's
I
also-
didn't see the twists.
I thought it was, like, heart-wrenching, too, when HR accidentally tells Savitar where Iris is.
Oh,
Yeah.
yeah.
I thought that was just, like, brilliant. And the writing.
Because you were like, how is now what's
It's
going
like, yeah,
on?
all their
Like this
everything they're
character
doing
still.
to protect Iris, and then one little slip up, and then, I mean, that made his sacrifice mean so much more.
He did the ultimate sacrifice to fix his mistake.
The last 2 episodes of the season were really, really good. I really loved how they kind of brought everything together in the end, even if the road there was a little bumpy. But the thing that kind of really ends the season is that Flashpoint and Savitar and all this business creates a Speed Force storm, that's what they call it, that threatens to overtake Central City.
See, I didn't feel like it needed the epilogue. I kind of liked it.
That's what I said about Supergirl.
Well, I mean, I like
Flash tends to leave things on a little bit of a cliffhanger anyway.
Yeah.
They did it the first
yeah.
2 seasons.
And it's like, I know that's the nature of television, but it just felt like everything was wrapped up really nice.
I thought it was okay.
Yeah, but so what was the epilogue that you're referring to?
All right, here's the thing. In the comics, Barry going to the Speed Force is a huge deal.
Yeah, I know.
He does it to save the universe, and then he was gone for like 30 years.
I know.
And so they just did it as an epilogue, and then they undo it in the first episode of season 3. It's the same thing as Flashpoint.
When is this
It's in the
about
ads.
season 2?
It's
It's
the
in-
ad
it's in
for
the
the
ads.
season is Hero Reborn.
Yeah,
No, I
you all know
understand.
the Flash is going to be coming back, otherwise what do
There's
you do?
no show.
You have Teen
Right,
Kill
but we
Flash.
don't
God, that'd
know
be
when, how, or why. We just know
I
that
didn't
he's
say any
coming
of
back. Okay.
But I'm just comparing it to the whole Flashpoint thing where they built it up to be a big thing, and in the comics it was a big thing. And for them it's just for like a shocking cliffhanger.
I don't know that it was
I
Linus,
liked the Speed Force presenting itself as Barry's mom.
Yeah.
And making it very personal, and there was a very loving aspect to it. It was a sacrifice that didn't feel like a hard sacrifice for him. He was totally at peace with what he was doing, and I liked that.
I liked that as well. I like the fact that the Speed Force theme on the season has always been one of these guys has to be in it in order to sort of maintain the balance. I loved when Jay decided to save Wally by being the person filling the Speed Force. And so by the time it got to that point at the end of the season with Barry, obviously we know he's going to come back. I didn't think it was a bad ending.
I would love at some point to see what happens to Barry in the Speed Force, because you
Yeah.
saw what Jay had to go through, you see what Wally has to go through, and it being their worst moment relived over and over again. So I'd love to see what happens with Barry at some point.
Although the Speed Force did say that wasn't going to be what it was going to be like for Barry.
That's right.
Because he was doing it willingly. So I would like to see how it's different and how...
Yeah.
Because, I mean, he is, like, Speed Force, he's a part of it already. More so than Jay or Wally. So I do hope they go into that and how it is different for him.
Well, because Jay went in there willingly, would it still be his worst moment over and over and over
Maybe
again?
we only saw Wally.
We
I
only
think it
saw
was just
Wally's,
Wally.
and then
Because
Jay
he
stayed.
got trapped after trying to take on Savitar by himself.
Yeah.
So
That was stupid.
Well, that's Wally though. He's very impulsive.
It's annoying though. I just want to see more of Barry. Like I'm watching The Flash to see Barry Allen, and I
Yeah.
felt like there was too much of him. And you know the actor itself, he doesn't totally bother me all the time, but it's what's bothering me about it is just that I had to see so much of him.
I feel like it should still be Barry's journey.
It
And it takes
it is
away
very
from
true.
him
And I'm
already
hoping-
teaching a new Flash.
Right, and like I'm hoping when he does come out of Speed Force, because like come on, like he's not going to come out of the Speed Force, that he will have gained a lot of knowledge and stronger ability from it. I'm hoping.
And hopefully actually be the fastest man alive instead of them keep saying there's
Right,
somebody.
because he should be faster than everybody else, even Superman, like faster than
He is
everybody.
faster than Superman.
Yep.
Yes, by a lot.
So
that's
But
his
what
big
about
power.
Supergirl?
By a lot more.
Yeah.
That's sexist.
Well,
She hasn't been.
written
She
a
hasn't.
lot.
it's just,
She hasn't.
it's just a
well,
universe fact.
and
my friend.
their whole thing is she hasn't absorbed as much Yellow Sun as Superman. That eventually she will.
I
So
know.
cool. Sorry.
Although in Smallville, Supergirl is stronger than Superman, and they say the
Yes.
female Kryptonians are stronger. So that was kind of cool in Smallville.
That was the
There's
moment.
different takes to everything.
There is.
I don't know. I liked the way that the season ended, but yeah, I'm hoping that whatever effects come out of the Speed Force are better than the effects that we got from Flashpoint.
Agreed.
And I think it's more contained to Flash, so
Yeah.
maybe
Right.
they won't pull punches.
They'll have more to grow out for
I also-
development in just that.
I feel like the writers on this show too learn more from their mistakes quicker
Yes.
than Arrow and especially Legends of Tomorrow.
Mm-hmm.
So I feel like season 1 and 2 are great, and there's some people that really pick apart the season, but I still liked it. I
we want to see Barry. We're invested in
and
Barry.
yeah, and so season 3, I think they realized they focused on Wally too much, and so I think season 4 will be really more back to season 1 and 2.
I hope so. And even though season 3 had some weak points, I think Hilary said it earlier, season 3 of The Flash, even if that's its worst season, is still better than a lot of other shows, including some of the better seasons of the other Arrowverse shows. So,
Easily.
I'm fairly confident. I enjoy season 3 of Flash more than all of Arrow, Legends, and Supergirl.
Wow. Big statements.
As long as Cisco is Cisco and not broody Cisco.
Yeah.
Because that was a very painful episode.
Dude, you
Or
guys
two.
upset Spencer.
any wish list villains from Flash or any DC Rogues Gallery for season 4?
I
Yeah,
hope
I
they
don't
actually
know.
have the rogues together as a group of 6. You know, Captain Cold, Mirror Master, Abracadabra, Heat Wave,
2 more?
Top.
1 more?
This other one rotates. It could be a couple different people.
Cop out.
Weather Wizard, but he's really evil in this version, so I don't think they would join forces with him.
He's real, yeah, we did.
Yeah, he was
real
early on.
powerful.
Yeah, they really upped his power, and they really...
And
He
he's
was one
still
of the
pretty
early
cool.
metas that they used.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's
He's
what-
like Storm.
He's
only
from the
evil.
first episode, right?
Well, that one died. That's the younger person.
Oh, that's
Yeah,
right. That's
There was a
right.
different
Yeah.
one.
And then-
That's right.
Way more powerful.
Yeah, and then
I
the
need
one
to
who
go
had,
back and-
the one who created the tidal wave, then Barry had to originally change the time.
I need to go back and rewind. It's been a little while.
But yeah, I hope they actually have all the rogues together, because that's a really fun dynamic.
You come up with all the good storylines, Kyle. I like this.
Question.
Let's do it.
Quick question. So when they
You don't need to
defeat,
put your hand
Kristen's
up.
in the learning session. Stop it.
let me ask my question.
You can ask the
first.
question, but you don't have to put your
Yes,
hand
I
up.
do.
Yes, she does. Okay, we'll tell him real quick. Kristen just put her hand up. Now
Yeah.
go.
Okay, thank you, Hilary. So are they still capturing,
Oh, sisters.
when they capture the villains, are they still putting them in the tunnel?
Who's
or
feeding them?
Oh, they're not. Argus is
taking them?
Diggle's wife is
That's
taking
what I was
them
like,
and
do they
actually
have
putting them in
toilets
prisons.
in there?
Thank
And
you.
In those cells, like how do they go potty?
I don't know, man.
The tunnels? The tunnels?
Okay, that is weird.
Is that what you were
But they
asking?
have
Is
to
it
be-
cell in the
That's a
tunnels?
valid
That is-
question.
that is
How do they
altogether too weird.
Eat and where do they poop?
Well, okay.
I don't care, they're
that's-
villains.
It's a book. Everybody
I don't
poops.
But that's kind
Where
of
do
why
they
I was
go?
asking that. It's like, are they just in the tunnels and how do they...
cruel and unusual punishment,
Yeah.
locked in a little 3
Or
foot
did they
cell.
start going to Argus?
They started going to
Started
Argus.
Going to Argus.
Yeah.
Oh.
So they just temporarily hold them until Argus comes.
Yes.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Unless
Dies.
one of those characters they want to use later, then they've been there all along. Because they go visit villains once in a while.
All of that only happened a couple times,
Yeah.
and I feel like only in the first season.
Yeah,
He's
because
still
once...
wondering how they ate and how they went to the bathroom.
I understand.
Well, there's the episode where Reverse
That's a
Flash
problem in my world.
starts to overreact the reactor, and they have to get all the villains out of there.
Yeah.
And then
Yeah.
they said that this
That's a
wasn't
Captain Cold
a permanent.
episode.
Yeah, and they
Yeah.
said we can't keep holding them here. And that's also the episode where Joe has the moral dilemma of realizing that he's holding these people without
Due process?
Yes. So I think the implication was from that episode on, they're
They go
shipping
to
them off.
Argus, which
Where's
is
Gold Glider?
Golden
Golden
Glider.
Glider?
She's in the
Golden
wind. She's out there being golden, I guess. Who cares? She was on Frequency. It got canceled.
So she'll come back.
But I like
now.
when she's flirting with Cisco and stuff like
Well,
that.
that
with her and Gypsy Big.
I was gonna say,
Fighting!
that'd be a good episode.
Fighting over Cisco!
Gypsy would work well with the
Yeah.
rogues.
She would.
That's
Oh my
a good,
gosh.
good story. I like
I
it.
love
Prove.
this show.
Do it.
Cisco would be brilliant in that episode too.
That's what I'm saying.
He would be totally loving the fact that there's 2 women fighting over it.
They need to give Cisco, like, you know how sometimes shows give, here is this person's episode. He needs a this person's episode.
Yeah.
Yeah, it would be cool.
Because I think he could do it.
He could carry it.
He could carry it.
Absolutely.
They could do that more
I
often.
love his name.
I mean, they practically did
Yeah.
that with Kid Flash, so why couldn't they do that with the other characters?
Like the
Don't-
ones who've been around and are funnier
Oh,
and have interesting
what a
characters.
concept!
Yeah. I mean, I'm sorry. Dude, you're doing all right as Kid Flash. It's just way too early for you. That's my thing, I guess.
Well, I feel like he's also taking credit for like lots. I know he's supposed to be kind of cocky, but
Yeah.
it's like you're kind of new.
The cockiness is true to the character. So
I know,
that
that's what I
part
said.
doesn't
He's
bother me,
supposed to be,
But it should be more kind of like the Spider-Man, like cracking jokes.
yeah,
it
Peter
shouldn't be
but
Parker-y.
arrogant.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I agree.
Yeah, I don't like the character of Kid Flash
No.
much at all in this context.
I don't either. So, would you recommend The Flash to others?
Yes.
Absolutely.
I would
Definitely.
force them to watch it so that they would know how brilliant it is.
So, Spencer would
Oh.
hold you at
You should have
gunpoint.
come to our live
You
podcast.
didn't mention a gun.
No, I didn't say
Took
about
that to a
guns.
dark point.
I'm English. We don't have guns. Where's with you Americans and everything with
What is
guns?
a club? He'll
That's
take
always
a club.
I love that part in Doctor Who. They're American.
That's a different
I
podcast,
know.
which we already do.
I I would find it hard to
Not recommend it?
no. Well, I would recommend this first for the Arrowverse,
Yes.
which is
Yeah.
difficult because Arrow.
Came
started-
I mean,
first.
you should still probably watch.
What you could do is watch Arrow season 1 first, and then just jump straight to the Flash. And
Two
No.
have Deathstroke.
Oh yeah, yeah.
And the first episode with Barry is in season 2.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Sorry, the first 2 seasons of Arrow first.
And then just
Because those
forget
are both
the rest
very
of it.
strong.
I'm just kidding.
It goes down
Yeah. No, I'm kind of with you a little
Yeah,
bit.
Arrow's back to trying to find its feet.
A little bit.
for
But
few
we can
seasons
talk about that.
in our Arrow podcast.
Wink, wink.
No,
Which is coming soon.
Say no more,
at some
say no
point.
more.
To a podcast near you. Are you going to keep watching The Flash?
No.
Because you want to or because you have to? That's the question.
I
I
very
wanna
much
keep
want
watching
to.
The Flash.
Very
Yeah.
much want to.
I want to.
Yeah, I'm not stopping.
I tried to make this one of my top 5 100 episode currently recommended
Yes.
TV shows. That's all I gotta say. We were voted down.
Did you have it on your top 5 list?
Yeah, we have the same shows on our list, which is weird because we didn't talk about it. It's genetics,
It's just in a different order.
different order. And I was sorry they didn't have Doctor Who on my list because you were like, no one put Doctor Who, and I was like, yeah, I wish that I did.
But I
anyways,
agreed with Kyle's logic on that. But Flash was my number 2.
It's not as good as the original Doctor Who.
The Peter
I
Capaldi
know, you
season.
feel
is-
Yeah, the
Tom
Capaldi
Baker
seasons
things.
But it can.
why can't there be
includes
room
it.
for both,
Okay.
Spencer? What is your deal?
Some things just
He's
don't need
judgy.
updating.
He's very
No.
judgy and he loves Tom Baker.
If it wasn't for the
Everybody
updating,
loves Tom
I never
Baker.
would have found it. So I'm okay with that.
This is a different podcast.
A lot of people.
I said,
Well, sorry. Anyways, yes, please watch The Flash. It's really good.
And Doctor Who.
Yes.
The original.
There's all about
Yeah.
time and
Sure.
space and things.
and timey-wimey wibbly wobbly.
Yes.
Is it superhero
Just like
in an
Flash.
episode?
Is very good. Is there anything else you
The
want to
Doctor's
say
a
about
superhero.
The Flash season 3 or what you hope to see in season 4 minus the 1 or 2 you might have already seen?
I just hope to see Barry continue to develop and actually become the man that
He's
everyone-
supposed to be?
He's supposed to be.
And-
More so than what he is right now because he has the base and we know what the base is. I just want to see that become stronger.
Season 3 was good, but I want to see in season 4 return more to the light-heartedness of seasons
Yeah.
1 and 2. And I certainly don't want to see any speedsters outside of Barry, to be honest.
What about Jesse?
Jesse Quick.
Jesse
Jesse-
Quick, if she
I
makes an
wanna-
appearance,
I
I'll be
wanna
okay
see
with
Jesse
it.
Quick.
But I really
Once in
don't.
a while.
I don't want too much.
Yeah,
Kid
not
Flash.
all the time. Like Superman in Supergirl.
I mean, she's fun, but
See, I mean, the only other speedster I want to see is Reverse Flash, and not like. I like the episodes where they kind of force him and Barry to work together. If they had an episode
Yeah.
like that again,
Those
I'd be
were fun.
perfectly fine with that.
I guess you're going to have to pluck them out of another Earth, though.
And another crossover with
plenty of them.
Supergirl, with just Supergirl and
time
Barry
remnants,
would be
too.
good.
Yes.
They, like, smoked out so many time remnants.
I want some of his previous big villains to come back and make appearances too, just because that kind of just happens in the comic
I
books.
miss the Trickster, but he's real busy.
The Trickster, Hubert Thun, Captain
Oops.
Cold.
Captain Cold
Skywalker's
especially.
doing stuff.
Yeah, Captain
Yeah.
Cold.
I mean, they
I'd rather
have.
see the Trickster than Luke Skywalker.
Boo! Spicy words.
I
I would.
I want the Captain
I've
Cold
always-
that has the really fun banter with Barry as
Yeah.
well.
That's what
Yeah.
I'm saying.
That-
Their exchanges
are good.
are amazing.
Captain Cold that lives on the line, you know, the one that is kind of morally ambiguous rather than the
Right.
full evil.
Because he loves it.
And they
It
should
is.
take Heatwave back. I mean, I thought all 3 of them together were fun.
Yeah.
I don't even remember Heatwave.
That's where he
What?
got his start.
Mick Rory.
Oh.
Let's say
I'm
you
like-
watched Legends.
Yeah.
I'm like, what?
He's hardly ever referred
Like-
to as Heatwave. though.
Yeah.
Are you?
Mick.
Nick.
We're all getting tired and loopy.
It's
Yep.
true. Anything else you want to say about The Flash season 3, or anything you hope to see in season 4?
I think
Well,
we covered it.
I think we, yeah.
Just
Yeah.
Sweet!
Yeah.
Good job! You guys did great! And so now, I say this! CPU is produced by Back Pocket Productions, run by yours truly, the Chief Couch Potato, and hails from Grand Rapids, Michigan. Please, if you like what you hear, take the time to rate us on iTunes, Stitcher Radio, or Google Play. That means give stars, comments, reviews, so we can spread the word more effectively. If you have suggestions on shows we might consider, contact us at our website, couchpotatoesunite.wordpress.com, by email at couchpotatoesunitepodcast@gmail.com, or via our social media, Facebook, Twitter. We have Instagram, Pinterest. We add new and old shows to chat chat about around the water cooler all the time. We have more new episodes coming down the pike. Make sure you subscribe to the blog, our channels, our social media. Stay up on those new events and episodes. Find old episodes by searching the web, our website, or our social media. We're everywhere. The Flash, like all of the CW Arrowverse shows, is available at Netflix because they've got the contract. So if you want to catch up through the third season, go there. They should really pay us money. The new episodes are current. They've started. They're into season 4 on the CW. You can catch up on the CW streaming app for any you're behind on. We'll return to the DCTU series next to talk about Arrow season 5, which will not be quite as complimentary. I'm just going to tell you that right now. But until our next DCTU podcast or our next episode, new episodes published every Wednesday. Keep listening, keep watching, stay tuned.
Bye-bye.